Hey guys, welcome to Admit 3, where we discuss all things movies, media, and television. I'm Rob.
I'm Laura.
And I'm Kurt.
Thank you for joining us.
Hey guys, welcome back to Admit 3. Today we're going to be chatting about the pilot episode of The Last of Us. We'll be releasing episodes on our thoughts and theories every Wednesday throughout the first season, so keep a lookout for that over the next 8 weeks. The Last of Us is a 2023 HBO series that can also be streamed on the brand's HBO Max service. It was created by Craig Mazin, who previously worked on HBO's award-winning Chernobyl, and Neil Druckmann, who created, wrote, and directed the popular Naughty Dog video game that the series is based on. The post-apocalyptic horror drama series stars Pedro Pascal as Joel, a world-weary smuggler who is tasked with escorting the teenaged Ellie, played by Game of Thrones actress Bella Ramsey, across the country as she may hold the key for immunity from a fungal virus that has been ravaging the world for 20 years, turning the infected into zombie-like attackers. It's only January, but I think it's safe to say that this is one of the most anticipated shows of the whole year. Kurt and Rob, what did you guys think of the first episode?
You want to go first, Rob?
I thought the first episode was pretty good. At the end of it, I wanted more. Usually, after an hour and a half of watching something, you're kind of ready for it to be over. But I was pretty invested in it, and I only wanted to learn more about the world that they had created. I never played the video games, so I can't really say how faithful it is to the source material. I know you said you've played a little bit.
Yeah, maybe the first 20 to 25 minutes of the video game. The first, it comes out to be about the first 30, 35 minutes of the pilot episode. I've played up to that point of the video game, but nothing past. So this is new territory for all three of us, and I'm excited to see where it goes. Laura, what did you think about the episode?
I thoroughly enjoyed it. I mean, it kept me on my toes, so usually can't really hold interest in many things that I watch, so I was pleasantly surprised that I liked it as much as I did.
Yeah. I thought it was really great for a pilot episode. The first 30, 35 minutes of the episode kind of highlight the outbreak itself, and the character of Joel suffers a tremendous loss in these early days of the outbreak, and it was so just emotional. It really hit me. It was very effective.
He was crying. Literal tears.
Sobbing like a baby. I knew what was going to happen because I've played that much of the video game.
And he did not warn us. I'd like to have you know.
Would not. I wanted you to cry, but
as soon as it happened, I looked over at him. I'm like, you knew that was going to happen.
Yeah, the one time you didn't cry, the time I wanted to see it.
Yeah, that was quite a hard scene to watch. Like I said, even in movies, I hate it when animal or children die. Mm-hmm. Yeah, she might have been like, 12 or 13, that kind of, but she's still a kid, and it really tugs at your heartstrings anytime you see a parent lose their child, so.
But before it's sad, it's thrilling. It's kind of creepy, actually. The scene with the old lady in the wheelchair.
Yes.
When she's in the background and you see her kind of start. I mean, the fungus is like taking over her body, and she's like gasping for air. She does that weird thing where she's like sucking in her lips, and
it's very strange.
It's fucked up. I liked it.
Yeah, and I also like how the dog, like, you knew something was up with her because like dogs have that weird sense that like things are off and like people. So I kind of wish that she would have realized that there was, like, something. She did stop and stare at the dog for, like, a few seconds, but she kept walking out the door, and I was like...
Yeah. Shout out to the dog.
Yeah.
Very good dog performance. I'd like to say the dog.
He will be winning an Oscar.
Yeah, I need the dog nominated for Best Supporting Actor at the Emmys in a drama series.
It's, the whole market of video games is so oversaturated with zombie games that it's hard to stand out. And even in, movies and TV shows, you got The Walking Dead, and there's just so many, zombie themed shows and movies that it's hard for something to really stand out and catch people's attention. But this first episode, I think, does a great job of that. Even though there are a lot of, stereotypical things
Yeah.
that happen in it, I don't think that necessarily makes it worse.
Yeah, I agree. It's, very much in line with things like The Walking Dead and, all of these, hundreds of zombie movies that have been out. But I think what sets it apart a bit is its focus on the human characters. It really grounds the series. It is and has potential to be very scary, which as a huge horror buff, I love. But the emotional element of being grounded by these characters really resonates with me. And that way it reminds me a bit of, there's a movie called The Road, which is based off a novel by Cormac McCarthy, which is one of my favorites. It's a post-apocalyptic sort of thing that's just very poetic and sorrowful all the way through. And the tone of The Last of Us so far reminds me of that. So I'm very excited. And can't wait to just be sad.
I do like how they, obviously it's like you said, a typical like zombie type thing, but I do like how they changed it up a bit. Like, instead of them just like eating the whole body, it's just like the weird things coming out of their mouth and like feeding on them. So it's, and also that really cool scene where they go into that like part of the basement and the person who was infected was just like,
Yeah, it had him
That's
like
on
the
glued
wall.
against the
Yeah.
wall with the fungus
All the
growing
fungus
out of
growing
him.
out
That
of
kind
it.
of reminded me of Annihilation, that one scene where the guy's
Yeah.
like stuck in like the pool
Yeah.
wall.
Yeah, Annihilation is a very cool movie. Laura, we have to get you to watch it sometime.
Do you guys have a favorite zombie movie of all time?
Night of the Living Dead.
Wow.
George A. Romero. I used to, not that it's boring or anything like that, but I used to watch that movie every night in order to go to bed. It was a comfort movie for me as a child. So I would put it on the TV and I would fall asleep to it. I love it so much. It's one of my favorite movies ever. Laura,
no
what about you?
wonder that you need therapy.
Plenty more where that came from.
Zombie. I don't think I have a favorite zombie.
You're not a big
film.
zombie movie fan?
Well, as you know,
What about zombie shows?
I'm more
If you threw
into
that in next
like
to-
vampires, but
Yeah, we know. We know very
So
well.
your favorite zombie movie is
Twilight.
the show I've only really watched The Walking Dead for like zombie type shows.
Did you
so
finish the whole series?
I think I got to season 5 and then I couldn't do it anymore.
I only got through the first season of The Walking Dead, so I don't really blame you there.
I was so excited when that came out. I binged the first 3 seasons.
Yeah.
But then you're just like,
The Walking Dead was must-see TV for me for a long time. It took a dip. I want to say season 7, maybe 8.
You
took
made
a
it
dip for me.
how many seasons
But
are there?
then once it gets to like season 9, I believe season 9 is when Rick Grimes exits the show. It sort of picks back up again, and I love Rick. He's one of my favorite TV characters. But the showrunner changed hands, and it got better again when the showrunner changed hands. And I know we're not talking about The Walking Dead, but I want justice for The Walking Dead is better than haters like you guys.
Well, it was fine, but
Let
it
on.
should have ended way before it did. Anywho,
So Rob, what's your favorite zombie movie?
Favorite zombie movie, I would have to say, is 28 Days Later. I also like 2004, Dawn of the Dead. I like the movies where the zombies are like really fast because it seems more believable for them to actually, spread around the country or the planet or whatever and take over people. I feel like The Walking Dead, for example, when you have really slow moving zombies, how the fuck did they even get anywhere? Like, how did they take over cities? Like,
There's just so many of them.
that does actually bring me back to what I was talking about with this episode. There would be no 20 years later with how fast the virus was spreading in 2003. Like, you wouldn't make it to 2023.
But there was 20 years later, because that's what it is. It's 20 years later.
they
but
set up like quarantine zones, and that's how they were able to keep it's a fungus, it's not a virus. Like, anytime you think of zombie, I immediately think of virus, but in this one it's not a virus,
What is
it's
this,
a
like a-
fungus.
I actually think when I was taking notes for the podcast, it said fungal virus. So I think
Fungal
you're
virus. Okay.
either or fungal virus. Speaking of quarantine zones and stuff, Laura, you said you would not want to survive in a world like this.
Absolutely not. I feel like it's basically like, what's the point? Like, there's
Surviving,
but I'm thinking,
being alive.
is there a light at the end of the tunnel? They've already surpassed 20 years from when this virus first came into play, and the world that it looks like they're living is shit. So, like, what? I'm not trying to be burning bodies, like, as work, because that's the only work you can get around these areas now, because there's no world. There's no...
But you have to believe in the light at the end of the tunnel. You have to try to make the world better.
Past 20 years?
You have to keep fighting for it. What's 20 years in the grand scheme of things?
When I'm already old as shit, it's a lot.
But it's about more...
But what quality of life do you have living like they are living right now? You don't.
You're not dead. The title of the episode is actually When You're Lost in the Darkness. So when you said, what's the light at the end of the tunnel, it's kind of funny because that's like, I guess the whole idea of this first episode is like living on after a disaster. And there's that one scene where they're burning the bodies, and there's like a young girl, couldn't have been more than, 12 years old or something. Mm-hmm. And one of the people says, I can't do it. And then Joel, the main character, just like no emotion on his face whatsoever, picks him up and just like lackadaisically throws him into the fire with like no emotion. It was pretty cold.
Well, I mean, I guess losing your daughter literally like died in his arms 20 years earlier. I don't know if I'd really have any emotion or life left in me either, so like I can understand it from that perspective. Like, it's just another day in the life, just go throw another body in the fire or whatever.
Going back to your question though, like, is there light at the end of the tunnel? If you take yourself out of the equation, for lack of better words, you would never know if there was light at the end of the tunnel. You would be out of the equation, so you wouldn't be able to find out if there was ever
but light. Then you wouldn't also have to suffer for 20 years with nothing getting better. You know what I mean? Like, they look like they're living in like a concentration camp. Like they don't have freedom.
It doesn't mean that it won't ever get better though.
I guess we'll find out over the next 8 weeks if it gets any better.
All right. Well, you guys let us know what you would do in a zombie apocalypse scenario. Would you want to stick it out and, try to tough out with the rest of human civilization that's left? Or would you
be like me and bite the bullet?
The proverbial bullet. So, guys, you want to wrap it up and give some quick thoughts about the episode? And
did we already give our ratings or no?
I don't think so. Not yet.
Yeah, not yet.
Okay, so I'd give the first episode of The Last of Us, almost said The Walking Dead, funny enough, I'd give it a 4 out of 5. What about you guys?
I would say, yeah, I would rate it a 4 as well. I think it was a pretty strong pilot episode.
Yeah,
so
I agree. I'm
going to go far.
A solid 4. I think it was great. I think the first 30 minutes were so gripping and emotional. Then it kind of settles into the world building a bit. But great overall. I'm excited to see where it goes. I think it will only get better from here.
Yeah.
So let us know what you thought about the pilot episode of The Last of Us.
And whether you'd want to survive or not 20 years later.
That's right. You can watch it right now on HBO Max. Thanks for listening, guys.
See you next time.
Bye. Hey guys, be sure to follow us on social media. We are at Admit3Pod on YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram.